Hello everyone. So today we are going to see about the Criteria API. So the Criteria API is object-based persistence logic where no queries will be written. The entire persistence logic will be developed using the Java statements. So this persistence 100% Java statements based persistence logic. So it is a database software independent persistence logic. So while developing this persistence logic, we use the class names and property names. So here we will see the example of the JPA Criteria APIs. So it is a modern API given by the JPA and supported by the Hibernate. It supports both the select and non-select queries. It supports both the entity select operation, that is all the columns we can select, or otherwise if you want specific column to select, then it will also support that. So the main object or base object in this API are the criteria builder, query object, root object, and so on. So let us see the example of this. So here I am using Eclipse ID. So what we can do, go to the Eclipse ID, go to the files, go to the new, and here we have to create first of all Maven project. So the Maven, here you can see new Maven project, then we have to click on next. Then after that in the catalog choose the internet, and in the filter you have to type quick start. So here you can see quick start is coming, then click on next. Then after that in the artifact ID we have to give the project name. So I will area here Hibernate Criteria API. I will give here a package name as com.test. Here I will give the JPA Criteria API. JPA Criteria API and click on finish. So after that the project will be created. Now in order to use the Hibernate, what you have to do, we have to add the dependencies. I will be using here a MySQL database for storing our data, and I also use here a lombok for getter and setter method. So how to find this dependency, I will give the link of that dependency in the description. From there you will find this dependency, Hibernate core dependency. Then we have project lombok, that is lombok dependency, and MySQL driver, so MySQL connector J. So you will get all the dependencies link in the description. So here you can see JPA Criteria API is created. You have to expand this JPA Criteria API project. In that, go to the pom.xml, open the pom.xml. In the pom.xml we have to add these dependencies, that is I have already copied these dependencies. You will get the link of the dependency in the description. You can go to the my own repository and get this dependency. So what we have to do is below JUnit we have to paste this, Ctrl+Shift+F for formatting, and let's save this. So below JUnit you have to paste here Hibernate core dependency, lombok dependency, and MySQL connector Java. So it is done now. Next thing what you have to do is we have to add the Maven compiler plugin. Also the link of this in the description. You have to copy this Maven compiler source and target, and next thing we have to go to the Eclipse, and in the properties below in the properties tag we have to paste is Ctrl+Shift+F. I will be using here 1.9 version of Java, so here I will take 1.9. let's save this, and after saving that what you have to do, right click on this JPA Criteria API project. After that right clicking, go to the Maven, and here in the Maven what you have to do is update the project and click on OK. So the project will be updated, and here you can see here version is coming 9. So the next thing what you have to do is, let's go to the here. We have to create Hibernate configuration.xml. So go to the Eclipse ID, right click on this src main Java, go to the new, go to the others, and here we have to choose the XML file, click on next. Here we have to give the XML file name hibernate.cfg.xml. I have already written the content of this, so let me copy this. And go to the Eclipse ID. Below that I will paste here. Now Here is the DTT we have to add for the Hibernate to validation of this XML file. Next thing, in the Hibernate configuration, in the session factory, what you have to do. So in the hibernate.cfg.xml, we have to provide the JDBC URL for the whatever database you are using. Here I am using MySQL, so JDBC:/MySQL:localhost 3306/new. New is the schema name you have to create in your MySQL database. So I have already created one schema in the MySQL database, that is with the name new. 3306 is the port number of your MySQL. Then you have to give the username of your MySQL database and password of your database. Then if you want to see the whatever the queries are executing by the Hibernate dialect, then you can give here a show SQL property as true. If you want to see the query in the formatted manner, then you can give format_SQL property as true. Then HBM to detail.data I am taking here as an update. That means it will see in the database whether the table is already present or not. If not, then it will create that table. So here I will be using MySQL workbench. You can see that here I have created one schema called new. You can also go here. You will find the option create a new schema in the connected server. You can go click on here and you can create a schema. I have already created schema with the name new. That name, what you have to do in the Hibernate configuration file, you have to give here you can see that. Next thing what I will do is right click on this com.test, go to the new, go to the class, and here I will create one entity employee in the package called com.test.entity and click on enter. After that, what you have to do, we have to create here a private integer ID, private string name, private string department, private double salary. Right now here add the data to for the getter and setter methods. So as we have added Lombok, so add the all as constructor, add the no as constructor, add the entity for mapping with the table. Then if you want to give the table name, add the table annotation, and here we have given the name emp tab. So table will be created with the name emp tab. I want to take here ID as the primary key, so add that ID, and also want to generate the value. So generated value strategy equals to identity. So this ID value will be auto incremented. We need not to give the value for this, right? So what will happen? The table will be created. The name of the table will be what? The name of the table will be emp tab, and the columns name will be what? ID, name, DPT department, and salary. So 4 tables will be created. You can also modify the name of the columns by giving the @column annotation, and you can specify the name here in the double quotes. I don't want to give here. You can give if you want to change. Entity is done. Now next thing what you have to do is right click on this com.test, go to the new, go to the class. Right click on this, go to the new, go to the class, and here we will create Hibernate util in the package called com.test.utility package. Hibernate util is created. Now here what you have to do, we have to take static session factory equals to null. We have to create here a one static block. Ctrl+Shift+O for importing session factory org.hibernate.session factory. We have to create configuration cfg equals to new configuration. Ctrl+Shift+O org.hibernate.cfg.configuration. cfg.configure and here we have to give the XML file name, that is hibernate.cfg.xml. Whatever you have configuration file created, that name you have to give here. So I have created, where is gone, here, right? Here you can see it is coming here. Next thing what you have to do is cfg.add annotated class, and what is our entity? Employee. So here I will give employee dot class, right? Now factory equals to cfg dot build session factory, right? Now I will create one here a static method, public static, and its return type will be session factory, and here I will give get session factory, and we have to return the factory. Let me copy this factory, and here we have to paste. Also I will create one method for session, so let me delete this. Factory dot open session. Let's save this. Ctrl Shift O. Virtual Hibernate dot session we have to import. Now we have first created hibernate.cfg.xml, then employee entity hibernate util. Let me update this project. My one update project. Okay. So entity is done, utility also done. Now it's time to go for here app.java. In that, what you have to do, we have to save some employee information. So let me delete this. Now get the session factory object. So session factory factory equals to hibernate util dot get session factory, then get session object. So session equals to hibernate util dot get session. Control Shift O for importing, import. Then after that, try with resources I will be using here. First of all, you have to use here a factory, then session. Let's save this. So you can use this try with resources only from the Java 9 version. So that's why I have added this Maven compiler plugin with the version 1.9. Below 9 version it will be not supported. So now here we have to, what you have to do, you have to store the employee information. So for that, what I will do, go to the entity class and go here, press Alt Shift S and go to the generate constructor using fields, uncheck this only ID and click on generate. After that, what you have to do, let's save this. Go to the Hibernate util. Now we have to go to the app.java. We have to create the objects. Here I have created one, how many objects? 10 objects I have created here. Here name, salary and department. So go to the AMP name. Here we have to give the salary first of all. And department. Let's save this. Now the error is gone in app.java. Here we have created 10 objects. Now we have to begin the transaction. Session dot get transaction dot begin. Now we have to save this. So session dot save from E1. Control down 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. Commit the transaction dot here we have to use session dot begin transaction and commit the transaction session dot get transaction dot commit. So we have to run this. So Control F11 run as a Java application. Let us see what will happen. Here you can see table will be created. So the table was not present in the database. So first the table will be created. Now you can go to MySQL Workbench. If I refresh here, earlier there was no table, now it is EMP tab is coming. Next, as we are saving the objects, so here you can see insert operation. 10 times insert operation will be performed. Now I will go to the MySQL Workbench, click on here, and you will find that 10 records are there. You can see that, right? This is done. Now let's go here in the com.test, right click on this, go to the new, go to the class. Here we'll create one select test class. Now in that, what I will do is I will copy this in the test.java. First of all, we have to create a main method. In that, we have to delete all these. We will be using here only session factory and session object. Now here we'll use the criteria API. So what are the steps to create a criteria query? So to create a criteria query, follow the following steps. First, create an object of criteria builder interface by invoking get criteria builder on the instance of session interface. So first step is create criteria builder. So create criteria builder. So how can we create that? Criteria builder cb equals to session dot get criteria builder. Control Shift O for importing. You can see java persistent dot criteria builder is imported. What is the next step? Create a criteria query object. Now here we are writing a criteria query to what? To select the employee which is having the employee ID between 5 to 10, right? So after creating criteria builder, what you have to do? We have to create a criteria query object. So let me go to the Eclipse ID, create criteria query object. So criteria query CQ equals to session from criteria builder dot create a query. Now here we have to give employee dot class. Control Shift O for importing java persistence. Now here is here in the criteria query what you have to give. So here we are selecting EMP information, right? We are selecting employee information, that's why we are giving here employee dot class. Let's suppose in the further examples, if you want to select only employee name column, then what is the data type of employee name? String. So we have to give here a string dot class here in the employee dot class name. Let's suppose if you want to choose only the employee ID, so we have to give here a long dot class. If you want to choose the multiple columns like employee name and ID, then here we will give object array dot class in the place of employee dot class. Criteria query object is done. Next thing is create a root object to specify the from condition. So here go to here, create root object. So root of employee root equals to criteria query from employee dot class. Control Shift O. So it is like from where you have to select. select star from employee. So you have to select from employee, right? Then here we have to give the whatever you want to choose. So the entity class name you have to provide. Next, apply the clause condition. So what is the condition you have to give? So here, let me copy this. Go to the Eclipse ID. Right. The clause conditions. Here I have taken in the criteria query. Here I have taken CQ criteria query in the CT query. We have to take CQ, and at the place of criteria builder I have to take CB. So let me modify this CB dot, here CB dot. Now this is a clause condition. So what is CQ dot select? So from the employee table, and here we are specifying the condition where CB criteria builder, and so for these two conditions add. So if the query will be like select star from EMP where EMP ID is greater than equals to 5 and ID is smaller than equals to 10. So for this less than equal to this, and we have to get the ID. So root to dot get, and this is the condition 10. So for performing AND operation, we have to specify here criteria builder dot and whatever AND condition. So this one is a first condition greater than 5 for this, and this one, let me take other color. This one is for the this ID is smaller than 10. So criteria builder dot less than, and whatever column name root dot get ID. So LE means less than equals to, and GE means greater than equals to, and these two condition in the AND. So before that CB dot AND. So this is after this is a clause, so we have to use here a where, and from which class we have a table we have to give from the employee table. So CQ, it is a select operation, so select from here we have to give this root object, then where object. So as this here we are performing here and greater than 5 and less than 10. So here we have to give and which on the which condition we have to give on the ID. So CB dot greater than equals to ID is greater than 5. So we have taken here GE, and less than root dot get ID less than 10, and make sure that this ID whatever we have given, that in the employee class here we have given ID, so that name we have to give here. If suppose we have given here EID, then what you have to do in the test, at the place of ID we have to take EID, right? So the name should be taken from this entity class whatever we have created. Now let us save this. So we have written the clause conditions. Next thing what we have to perform is create a query object having the criteria query object. So we have to create a query object having the criteria query object. So below this I will write create query object. So query equals to session dot create query. We have to give here a create query, and we have to create give here a criteria query object. So CQ, right? Control Shift O for importing. So import javax.persistence.query, right? Next, So now control the execution of the query by calling the method of the query interface. So let's take the result. So if I go here, now execute the query, we have to execute the query. So we are getting the list of employees, list equals to query dot get result list. Let's save this, Control Shift O for importing java.util.list. Now we'll print the information of employee which is having id greater than 5 and less than 10. So list dot for each system dot out colon print ln. Let's save this. Now Control F11 for run as a Java application. Okay. Let us see what we will get as output. Here we go. From the 5 to 10 we can see that the employee information is coming. So in the database you can see that from 5 is Angela and 10 is Sandy. So if I go to the Eclipse ID, Angela and Sandy, you can see that. So for the criteria here, first step what you have to do, we have to create a criteria builder object. Then we have to create a criteria query object from the criteria builder object. So here we have to give the employee.class. Why? Because we are selecting all the employee information. Then we have to create object for specifying from operation, from which table you have to take. So that's why we have given employee.class. Then we have to write a clause condition, that is what is the condition we have to apply that on the query. So cq.collect, we have to give the here root object, then where clause where we have to use, and whatever the condition if you want to use here, that you have to give. Then next we have to create a query object using the criteria query object. Then after that you can execute this query by using the method of query. So query.get result list, it will give the list of the employee specifying with this condition. So if I go here, so internally the query will be select ID, department name and salary from the table where is, here you can see greater than equal to 5, less than equal to 10. Why it is coming? Because here we have taken greater than, so that's why here it is coming greater than, and less than here you can see. So these are the steps to create a criteria query. So we'll see the next example for the selecting all the records. First we have to create a criteria builder object, then criteria query, then root object specifying from operation. Then as here we are selecting all the records, so there is no necessity to write the clause condition. So we directly create a query object having the criteria query object. As we are performing, we want all the records. Then query by criteria logic we have to execute, and at the end we have to print. So let me go to the Eclipse ID. So what I will do, I will comment this, comment out. Now here we have to do select all the employees. First thing is create criteria builder object. So criteria builder cb equals to session dot get criteria builder, right? Then we have to create a criteria query object. So criteria query cq equals to cb dot create query. Now as we want here employee information, so I will give here employee dot class. The next one is a create root object for the from condition. So root of employee rwt root equals to criteria query dot from employee dot class. it is equals to select star from employee. Next is we have to create a query object. Here we will not require to write a clause condition. Why? Because we are selecting all the records, right? So there will be no clause condition. So query 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 equals to session dot create query, and we have to provide here a criteria query. Next, execute the query and get the result. So we will get the list of the employees. List of the employee list equals to query dot get result list. Let's save this. Now print the info. So list dot for each system dot out colon print ln, and make sure that whatever information we are performing, we want employee information that we have to give in this criteria query. So let's save this, control F11. We should get all the employee information. So if I maximize this, here we go. So what is the condition? Select column names from the table. You can see that 1 to 10 employee information is done. So first step is we have to create a criteria builder object, then criteria query object, then we have to create a root object, then if any condition clauses condition you have, that we have to provide. Here we didn't have, so then create a query object, then execute the query and print the query. So this is about the select all the employees. So now let me comment this. Next we'll see, here we seen this select all employee having the ID greater than 5 and less than equals to 10. In the previous example we have seen, first we have to create a criteria builder, then criteria query, then root object specifying the from operation, then whatever clause we have to apply, that we have to give clause condition, then query object we have to prepare the query object having the criteria query object, then we have to execute the query by criteria and we have to print that, right? Then next one is what query we'll write. Let us see. Here we'll write a query. So the name should be in the Sam, John and Carla, and we have to order by ascending order. That means let us see. So here I will write select star from empty table where employee name in Sam and John and Carla and order by salary. So this is the query. Let's focus on this. So select employee information which is having employee in this, and it should be order by the salary. That means in the ascending order of the salary, in the increasing order of the salary, and the name of the employee should be in this Sam, John and Carla. So as we have discussed, what are the steps? First is the create a criteria builder object, then criteria query object, then create a root object specifying the from condition, then apply where clause condition. So we are performing select operation. So select root where. Now here is the condition where root dot get name. So name should be in this, and we have to order by in the ascending order of the cell. So let us write this logic. First one is a create criteria builder object. So criteria, let me write above one as we have created here already. So criteria query. Next step is second step you have to do is criteria query object. Also here we want only employee information. So here we will give the employee dot class, right? Next one is a create root object specifying the from condition. So let me write above root equals to root. Now here we have to write the clause condition. So let me see the condition. So criteria query dot select. So here we'll go criteria query dot select. We have to give here a root, then where root dot get what we want, name should be in the Sam. So name should be in the Sam, John and Carla. Sam, John and Carla. Let me go here, Sam, John and Carla. Here we have to give order by root dot get in the salary. Here we have to give the ascending order also. So before this, order by criteria builder dot ascending, and here what we want, root dot get on the basis of salary. Let's save this. So here what you have to do, let me write select star from emp where ename in Sam, John and Carla, order by salary. We are not writing any ascending or descending, that means by default is it a ascending. So it is select star, then this much is equivalent to this, then this much is equivalent to this, where root dot get name. Here this is a column, that is employee name in the specified names. So Sam, John and Carla, and at the last order by in the ascending order. So we have to give here a criteria builder dot ascending, and on the basis of what we have to order, that we have to give inside this, right? Next one is a create query object. So I will copy this. Next step after clause condition, create query object, right? Then execute the query. How to execute? Let me copy this, paste here. Now at the last print. So everything is same as above we have seen. The only condition is here, difference is this clause condition. Let's save this. Now if I execute by Control F11, run as a Java application, we should get the result. So here we can see we are getting the result. Let me go. So Sam is there, John is there, also Carla is there, and here you can see order by, we have written what, order by in the ascending order of salary. So here you can see salary is in the increasing order, first 5,000, then 6,000, then 7,000. So as we have seen also the query, so let me see the query. So here we can see, if I maximize this, so here select the employee columns from EMP tab, where employee name should be in this. Here the query parameters are there, and order by employee salary in the ascending order. So this is the query internally executed by the Hibernate. So let me comment out this. Now next example we'll see. Next example is select the employees whose name is starting with the S. Now let us see what we have to perform. First one is we have to create a criteria builder object. Second one, we have to give here a criteria query object. Next, we have to create a root object. Next, what we have to do, we have to apply the clause condition. So we have performed here a select operation. So we have to give select, then where we have to give here a condition. So criteria builder dot like. So it is equivalent to if I write a query. So select star from emp table where employee name like yes percentile, that means that are starting with the yes, it is equivalent to this. So let's write a query. So if I go to the Eclipse, first one is a create a query, create a criteria builder object. So let me copy this. Next step is we have to create a criteria query object. I will copy above whatever we have written. Next one is we have to create a root object for specifying the from condition. Create a root object. Now here we have to write a clause condition. So criteria query dot select, we have to give here a root, then where criteria builder dot like root dot get name, and here we have to give yes percentile. Let's save this. Here what we have to do, criteria query dot select root where like condition. Here we have to use the double quotes. Here let me give the double quotes. Let's save this. Now the error is gone. Now next thing, the same, create a query object. After the condition create, we have to create a query object, then we have to execute that and print that. So I will be copying this. All the things are here same, only the condition is we have to change this clause condition. First I will again explain. First one is the criteria builder object, second one is the criteria query object, third one we have to create a root object, fourth one clause condition if any, fifth one we have to create a query object, last one is execute the query, and at the last we have to print. So what was condition here? Select star from emp where ename like yes percentile. So here select star, it is equivalent to cq dot select root. After that where ename like yes, so where cb like yes, this is nothing but the column name and this is the condition, and here we are using like, and make sure that whatever you are using, this should be same to the here whatever name you are given in the employee in the entity. So now let us execute this, Control F11. So here we go. The query is select all the columns from the employee table where employee name like here a query param, and you can see that we are getting the only the employee information whose name is starting with the yes. You can see that yes and yes. So there are only two employees which is having the name starting with the yes, right? And we are getting here. Now let me take here a employee name. So we'll get here a error. Why? Because here in the employee class we are taking here a name, but we are using here a employee name. So let me Control F11 execute. We'll get here a error. So what is the error? Let us see. So here we can see Java illegal argument exception, unable to locate the attribute with the name ename. So we'll get the here exception. What is the exception? Illegal argument exception. So make sure that you should give here a name whatever present in the employee class, right? So again I have deleted and changed to name. Now let's execute this, Control F11. Now we will not get the error. Here we can see it is executed. So let us see the next one. So we use the criteria query dot select method for the entity select operation, and that is getting the all the column. So in the all the above example, we have selected what we are getting the all the column values of the database table. Now let us see. We use the criteria query dot multi-select method for the scalar select operation, getting the specific multiple column. Now we'll see the how to write a query for getting the specific multiple columns, not the all the columns. So for that, what you have to use, we have to use the criteria query dot multi-select. For selecting all, we are using criteria query dot select. So here we are using select operation. But if you want multiple columns, that is specific multiple column, then we have to use multi-select. So here I have written here. So first we have to create a criteria builder object, then criteria query, and here comes, here you can see we want only the specific column, not all the columns of employee table. So here I am using object array. Why? Because I want only specific column. So that's why I am using here. In the case of all the columns, what you have to do, employee dot class. We have to give here a employee dot class in the criteria query. So first one is criteria builder, then criteria query, then we have to use here a root specifying from condition. So it will be same. Why? Because we are fetching the data from the employee table. So this will be specifying from operation. Now here comes, we have to select only ID and name. ID and name of the ID and name column of the table. So CQ criteria query dot multi select only the ID and name. ID and name, and you can give the condition if you want, where here I am using here same as the ID should be greater than equals to 5 and less than equals to 10. Then we have to execute, query by criteria logic, as you can see that, and we have to print. So let us see the example for selecting specific columns for multiple rows. Now let me comment out this. So here select multiple specific multiple columns. First thing is same, that is creating the criteria builder object. Let me paste here. Next thing, we have to create a criteria query object. Only the thing we here will be changed is object array, as we are not fetching all the columns. So here I will be using object array. We have to use the object array dot class. Next one is creating root specifying the from operation. It is also same. Now here comes the clause condition. Here CQ dot, we have to use multi-select. Why? In the select, before we have used select. Why? Because we want all the columns, but here what we want? We want only the specific column, right? So here, which column we want? Root dot get. Here we have to use only get. Root dot get. Only we want name, and here I will use ID, and root dot get of name, right? Next one is here we will perform where operation, criteria builder, and here I have to use and here we will be using criteria builder dot less than here we have to use LE root dot get ID comma 5. Here let me see where criteria builder and greater than and less than. So Here we go. cb.and criteria builder dot less than id 5. This is up to this. Copy this, and also it should be paste here, and here we have to use the greater than equals to. Here I think here is greater than equals to, and here is less than equals to. Less than equals to 10. Here less than. Let's save this. Here we are getting the error. Let me see. So query by criteria, this is right. Then where condition, criteria builder dot and, then we have written greater than 5, right? Then after that we have written this. Criteria builder dot, I think here we have to use the one more parenthesis. Now it is right. So if I here write select id comma name from emp where id is greater than 5 and id is smaller than 10. So select, we have to give here a root comma name, that is id comma name, from and where condition, and greater than 5 and less than 10. So let us execute this. Next one is we have to create a query object, right? So let me copy this. We have to create a query object. Now execute the query, query. Here we will be getting the list of object array. List equals to query dot get result list, right? Here what happened? So here query dot get result list, then print that. So list dot for each row for object ob of row system dot out dot print ob plus space and system dot out dot println. Let's save this. So first we have created a criteria builder, then criteria query. So as you can see, we want object of array, so that's why we have specified here. Then from operation, so we have to create a root object. Then clause condition, we want id and name, and where clause we are performed. Then create a query object, then execute the query. So let's save this, Control F11, run as a Java application. So let us see what we will get. We want here only the id and name of the employee, and the condition is their id should be greater than 5 and less than 10. So let us see what we will get. Here we go. id, you can see that 5 to 10, and only id and name is coming 5 to 10, you can see. And the query, if I go here, select only id and name from employee table where the condition is greater than equals to 5 and less than equals to 10. Now I want this in the descending order. So how can we do that? So after that, what you have to do is order by uh, criteria builder descending order, and which column you want, root dot get by id. Let's save this. So order by according to descending order of the id. So control F11, run as Java application. We should get in the descending order of the id. Here we go. So here we can see order by employee id in the descending order. So 10 to 5. Earlier it was 5 to 10, right? So this is the thing we can also perform. So let us see the next example. Next one is a select single column. That we have to select only single column, that is employee name, and the name of the employee should be started with the S. So first thing is we have to create a criteria builder. Next one is we have to create a criteria query. So as we want only, so select employee name from emp where ename like yes percentile, right? So we want only the employee name, so that's why I am giving here a string dot class. Only employee name we want, so for that reason I am using here a string dot class. Then we have to create a root object specifying from operation, right? Then specify multiple columns, whatever columns you want. So cq dot multiselect, we want only employee name, and where condition, whatever clause condition we want to write, that is this. Then as usual what we have written, we have to create a query object having the criteria query object, and at the last we execute the query. So let us see the example of this. So let me comment out above. So comment this, select employee name from the emp where ename like yes percent, right? First one is the create a criteria builder object. So I will be copying all the above code and modify that code. First thing is common for all. The next one is criteria query object. Let him copy this, below that paste here. Now here what we have to do is we want only the single column, so I will be giving here a string dot class. Next one is the root, create root object. It will be same for the all. So create a root object. Next one is cq dot multiselect. Which column you want? Root dot get. Root dot get. Which want? We want only employee name, right? Yes. Where criteria builder like root dot get. So here we want only the according to employee name. I will give here name because we have in the employee class we have given name, and like yes percentile. Next one is here CLAUSE clause condition, create a query object. So it is same. What happened here? Yes, create a query object, execute. Now here we have to give list of string. List equals to query dot get result list print. So list dot for each system dot out colon println. Let's save this. So whatever we are getting here, that we have to specify here. Let's save this, control F11. What happened? Why we are getting the error? Let's save this. Here where is the error? Save to save. What happened here? Syntax insert. I think one curly brace is there. Now it is right. So Control F11 run as a Java application. We should get the result.
Here we go. We are only getting the employee name which are starting with the yes. You can see that employee name and this query is same as we have discussed, right? Now let me go to the database and let us see what else we can do. We have R. So what I will do, I will be going here and I will replace yes with R. Let's save this. We should get the employee name which are starting with the R. So if I go and execute, you can see that Randy, Raja, Rani, Ram. 4 records are there with the R. So now this is about the single column. How can we select? This is done. Next example we see. Now it's time to work with the aggregate function. First one is create a. Here we are performing count the number of employees. So how can we do that? Select count of employee ID from EMP table. So it will give the count of number of employees. First one, we have to create a criteria builder object. Now here we want only the count, so that will be long. So here we have to give long dot class. Then create a root object specifying the from operation. It is same. Then specifying the multiple columns with the and where clause condition. So here you can see we have to select only the. We want only the count of records. So cq.multiselect cb.count root.get.id. Then create a query object having the criteria query object. Then execute the query by criteria logic, and we have to print that. Here we'll be using the query object method, that is get single result. Why? Because we have only here a single result. So let us see the example for this. We have to select count of EMP ID from EMP table. That means count of the employees. So create a criteria builder object. So how to create, as we have discussed, create a criteria builder object. Copy these, paste here. Then create a criteria query object. Create a criteria query object. Let me delete this. Now here comes, we will get only one result, that too in the long. So we have to give here a long dot class. Next one is a create a root object specifying the where from condition. Then we have to give the clause conditions. So here criteria query dot multiselect dot criteria builder dot count, and we want to count root dot get of ID. That means we have to count only how many IDs are there in the table. Now it's time to execute. First we have to create a query object from the criteria query. So query query equals to session dot create a query. Create query, where is create query? Here is the create query. We have to give CQ. Then execute the query. So we want only long count equals to query dot get single result. We have to typecast here with the long. Let's save this and print sysout. Control space enter. Control space enter. Here we have to give number of
emp's employees is count. Let's save this. Control F11 for running this application. We should get the count. And what should be the count? As we have 10 employees, so 10 should be the count. Here we go, number of employees will be 10. So this is the way we can work with also aggregate functions. Let me comment out this we have discussed. So next example we'll see. So what is the next example? Let us see. Next is we have to select maximum salary, minimum salary, average salary, sum of the salaries. Okay. Along with the count of whatever records present, we have to choose the select sum of the salary, average, maximum, minimum. First step, we have to create a criteria builder object, then criteria query object, then root object, then specify the multiple columns and where clause condition, then query object, then execute the query by criteria logic, then we have to print that. So let us see how can we do this. Select count of employee ID, sum of salary, maximum salary, minimum of salary, average of salary from emp, right? First thing, create a criteria builder object. Next thing, create a criteria query object. Here we'll give the object of arrays. Next thing, we have to create a root object specifying from operation. Here what went wrong? Object. Here object we have to give object object, create a root object, then specific columns we want, so cq dot multi select criteria builder dot count root dot get id, also we want cb dot max of root dot get salary, right? Also we want criteria builder dot minimum of root dot get of salary, right? Criteria builder dot average of root dot get of salary, right? Criteria builder dot what else we want? Sum of salary, sum of root dot get of salary. Let's save this. Now it's time to create a query object. Query equals to session dot create query, right? Now execute the query. So we'll get object array obj equals to query dot get single result. We have to typecast object array. Let's save this. Now here what happened? We have to print this, right? Print sysout control face enter. First we count of EMPs, object of array of 0, control down, 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 max salary at 1 position, at 2 position, at third position, minimum of salary, average of salary, control alt down. Here we want only obj, object and obj, right? It is that fourth condition. It is completed. Now control F11, run as a Java application. It is executing. Let us see what we will get. Here we go. The count of employees is 10. Maximum salary is 7,000. Minimum salary is 5,000. Average of salary is this much. I think we have printed the average and sum. So this is the sum of salary and this is the average of salary. So by mistakenly I have given here average. This is sum of salary. Control F11. Let us execute again. Here we go. Select count of employee ID, maximum of employee salary, minimum of employee salary, average, sum. So count is 10, maximum salary is here, minimum is here, average is here, sum of salary is here. If I compare here, let me minimize this. Here we go, count of ID. Here we go, maximum. Here we go, minimum. Here we go, average. Here we go, sum. Right? This is all about it. So let me comment out this. Comment out. Let's go here. Now we have performed select operation. Now it's time to go for update operation. So here we have to choose the criteria update object. So first thing is we have to create a criteria builder object. Then we have to create a criteria update object. Then we have to create a root object specifying the from condition. Then specify the values to set and condition to apply. So here what I am doing, I am performing the update operation of salary. I have to update the salary of employee which are working in the QA department to the 8,000. Then we have to create a query object having the criteria object, then print the result. So before executing we have to use here a transaction, that is session.begin transaction. After that we have to commit that transaction as it is a update operation. So let us see how can we do this. So here we have to update the QA department EMP salary to the 8,000. Earlier it was how much? Let us see. Earlier QA department salary is 5,000. We have to update all the employee salary to the 8,000, right? First thing is common in the all as we have discussed, that is criteria builder object. So create a criteria builder. Next thing here we use create criteria update object. Criteria update object. So criteria update cu equals to criteria builder dot create criteria object create criteria update. Yes, and we have to give here employee dot class. Control Shift O for importing this. Then root object is same as above. Let me copy this, copy, and below this criteria update I have to paste here. Here we have to give here a root object, right? Control Shift O. Here we have to use cu.from. Next thing what you have to do is, after the creating root, specify the values to set and condition to apply. So criteria update dot set salary to 8,000 and criteria builder equal department equals to QA. So go to the Eclipse, where clause condition, criteria update dot set root dot get salary, we have to update to 8,000.0 dot where root dot get criteria builder dot equals root dot get of department equals to QA. So set the salary to 8,000. It is equivalent to, let me see here, update emp set salary to 8,000 where department equals to QA. It is equivalent to this. So set salary 8,000 where department equals to QA. This is equivalent to this, right? Next thing is we have to create a query object. Create query object. So here query equals to query equals to session dot create query, and we have to give here a now criteria update. Control Shift O, Java x.persistence.query. Now execute this query. So as it is a non-select query, so we have to here session.begin transaction. Session.begin transaction, right? Now here we'll get the count, that means how many records are updated. So int count equals to query dot execute update. So execute update of the query object here we have to use. Now we have to use here a system.out.println number of records updated, we have to print here updated. So int, here we have to print a count, here we have to print the count, then session.get transaction dot commit. So whenever you are performing update operation, we have to begin the transaction and commit the transaction. I will write here a commit transaction, print the number of records updated. Now let us execute this by pressing Ctrl F11. So number of records updated is 4. Why? Because in the QA there are only 4 employees. Earlier, before refreshing, you can see that QA Sam, QA Brock, QA Raja and QA Sandy. 4 records are there and their salary is equivalent to 5,000. Now if I refresh here, you will find that their salary is updated to 8,000. You can see that 8,000, 8,000, 8,000 and 8,000, right? This is done. It is about the update operation. Update operation we have seen. Let me comment out this. Now it's time to go for the delete operation. How can we delete? For that we have to use the criteria delete object. So first criteria builder object, then we have to create criteria delete object, then we have to create a root object, then specify the values to set the condition. So I want to delete the employee whose name is starting with R. Then we have to create a query object, then print the result, right? So let us see this. Go here. First thing is create. I will copy all the things from the above, paste here. Let me comment this, delete the EMP whose name start with R, right? Then next one we have to create a criteria delete object. So for that, criteria delete cd equals to criteria builder dot create here, create criteria delete. Here we have to give employee dot class, employee, let's come here, dot class. Let's save this, control shift O. It is done. Now the root, create root is the same, so let me copy this and paste here, create root object. Then after that, control shift O for importing this. What happened here, we have to give the criteria delete clause condition, right? So clause condition we have to write criteria delete dot, what you have to choose, let me see. Here we have to choose criteria delete dot where condition, we have to write only where condition, right? So go here, criteria where criteria builder dot like root dot get of name which are starting with the R percentile. So it is equivalent to delete from emp where ename like D, no R, emp where ename like R. So criteria delete dot where ename like R, right? Next thing is create a query object, query query equals to session dot create query. Here we have to give the criteria delete object, control shift O importing. Next one is execute. So as it is the delete operation, we have to create here session dot begin transaction, then int count equals to query dot, here what we have to use, execute update, query dot execute update, sysout number of emp deleted, right? count count. Now commit the transaction. So transaction dot, here I want to use session dot get transaction dot commit. Let's save this, right? So if I go to the database and see the name are starting, how many are there? Randy is there 1, Raja is there 2, Rani is there 3, Ram is there 4. So the 4 employees should be deleted. Control F11. Here we go, 4 employees is deleted. So delete from emp tab where name is like this. This is done. If I go here and if I refresh here, now the employees will be present only be 6, and the employee with the name starting with R, all the are deleted. You can see that. So this is about criteria API. So it is object based persistent logic where no queries will be written the entire persistent logic will be developed by Java state. So as we have seen, we didn't write any query, we use the Java statements for the persistence logic. So this persistent is 100% Java statement based persistent logic, so it is database software independent. So we have discussed a lot. So if I go above, first we have seen the select the employee which is having the ID greater than 5 and less than 10. Then we discuss how to select all the employees. Then we have discussed how to select the employee which are which match with these names and in the ascending order of their salary. Next we have seen the names that are start with the S. Then next we have seen how to fetch the specific multiple columns, that is ID and name we have fetched. Then next what we have seen the specific employee, only specific one column how to fetch. Then how to select, how to use the aggregate function, how to use that. Count we have seen the maximum salary, minimum salary, average salary, sum of salary. Then we have used how to update criteria update. At the end we have seen criteria delete. So this is about the criteria API. So if you like this video, you can hit like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.